This weekend, Andy asks where Pat Sajak is, Ryan goes on patrol, and we tell an awful N64 story. I'm Ryan,
I'm Andy.
and this is Weekend Rental, episode 143. Well, before we jump too far into this episode, I was going to take a moment and do something a little bit different. I know, like, through the episode, we've got the little plug for Geekade, but I thought I'd just stop at the top of the show since I wanted to let people know we did launch a new podcast. For those of you who've listened to Weekend Rental for a long time, you might have remembered the movie podcast we used to do in between full episodes. David Crane's Amazing Movie Time. So Geekade reformatted their website. They've hosted us on there for years. And they've got Patreon exclusive stuff. We would never suggest that any of our content is necessarily worth paying for, or that it's going to be always like pay to play. But what we wanted to do is give back to Geekade a little bit. So part of their tiers over there, because the reality is they're hosting everything. They've helped us out. Everything has a cost. We all do it for fun, but all those things cost money. But if you are interested in getting an exclusive Patreon podcast plus early access to like the dozen of other amazing podcasts over on Geekade, you can certainly take a look at Geekade's Patreon. We should have links in the show notes. But at the $3 tier, you could have access to David Crane's Amazing Movie Time once again. We're doing it every month. There's an episode. I think first episode just dropped in January here. And we, of course, went right back to RRR. Talked in more detail. Next month will be Kung Pao,
Yep.
followed by Doctor Strange, and then the Need for Speed movie adaptation that for some reason got made in 2012. And there will be more to come from there. So again, we're not going to try and force money on anybody who doesn't want to give it to you. The show's free. It's always going to be that way. But if you want to help us out or really just help our pals out at Geekade, keep the lights on, please feel free to check that out. We'd really appreciate it. And those guys would too. So, and we will not talk about it every episode from here on out, minus the normal recorded plug.
Yep.
That's just obligatory. So there we go. Got that out of the way. I thought that was a damn good podcast too, by the way. Listen, because we recorded that like 5 months ago. So I'd completely forgotten what we talked about. But yeah, trying to listen to two men describe in detail the lunacy that is that movie was good. Even if you had lived it, I couldn't remember it.
Yeah, that's a tall order.
Yeah. It's a real tall order. You know what else is a tall order? Adapting a video game to TV and movies and people actually liking it.
Yeah. Turns out, though, if the game already is very cinematic with a very cinematic story.
And then if you just literally recreate the opening 90 minutes of that movie frame by frame or that game.
People end up liking that.
It doesn't piss off the gamers because it's exactly what they watched. And people who had no idea, never played the game, were like, that was pretty good. And I agree. It sure was. I don't know where it's going to go from here. So we're, of course, talking about The Last of Us, which dropped on, was it over the weekend or leading into the weekend? The first episode?
Sunday, I think. Yep.
Yeah. On HBO Max. It was long, hour and 20.
Yeah. So I think you have to do that on the first one anyway, because you have to have that first section, in the past with her daughter or his daughter,
right,
to kind of set up like how he got what he lost and the stakes,
right.
And then of course you also have to tack on the actual setup of the characters that are going forward. So that's a lot of time that you got to set up in one episode.
Well, and the reality is like the story arc of that game really begins once they leave the city, which is sort of where the first episode leaves off. And like you said, it's perfect to do that because what they did was they cut out, 2 hours of gameplay that were teaching you how to play the game and the backstory. The pacing was exactly right. I think it was detailed enough, but not bogged down. My biggest gripe with it is like ultimately The Last of Us is just another zombie genre thing, and like I just
But
a
it's
couple episodes,
mushrooms. It's
but
totally
it's but
different.
it's mushrooms. Yeah, the fungi make it different. And from someone who just was exasperated at the ending of another massive like zombie franchise, like I'm not necessarily in the headspace for another one of these. I don't know. I also think it's weird that they cast. I forget the actual actor's name, but like Mandalorian is so hot right now, and then for him to like just jump over to this, like I still can only see him as the Mandalorian,
Yeah.
even though he wears a
Even
helmet
though
99.9% of the time in that show.
even the way he talks, it sounds kind of the same, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he does fit that character very well, like look,
Hmm.
physique, like it was well cast, but it's just kind of jarring at this point. But I think they've been
Yeah.
working on that probably about as long as Mando's been in the works. So
Oh yeah, probably.
I mean, nobody probably knew what was going to take off if either of them would, you know?
Yeah, it's it'll be interesting because like the zombie stuff is almost just like the background. Like that's the gameplay.
Right.
You know, that there's not that's like the background of the story, the setting, not so much like here are the story beats. I'm sure there'll be some of it in there. You almost
Yeah.
have to, but
But
it'll
then
be
it kind of
interesting to
like,
see how much of it.
but then I feel like, and to be honest, I've never fully completed The Last of Us. I just kind of like, I didn't like the gameplay that much, and I got sick of like the jump scares and, yes, I sound like a wuss. I probably got like 10 hours in that game, right? So it's like, to me, the story beats that become interesting and what you pick up on is like the humanity around the disaster. But I also feel like that's what 70% of the Walking Dead was too. And again, like I'm the worst person to be giving an opinion on this because I'm very jaded, but I worry that it's going to bore me, but I don't know.
Yeah. I mean there is I feel like there is a lot of crossover there.
Yeah.
And you have to wonder how much of The Last of Us was actually inspired by The Walking Dead in the first place.
Right. A good
You know?
portion. Yeah. And I'm curious too, like how obviously at some point it runs its course. There's only so much material between the two installments.
Well, maybe that's
So
why Pedro Pascal signed up. He's like, "Oh, I only have to do one season? Great."
you know that if this is a big thing, like I bet that first game could be drawn out into like what 3 seasons probably. Realistically, they could fill
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I can't imagine that if it takes off that they're just going to go right where part 2 goes because
Well, and then they've got the whole like time because there's like a time gap right between 1 and 2, so like they could
Mhm.
really fill in like filler seasons with like going
That's
off the
true.
rails here.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of stuff that that, you know, could happen in between there. So yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, I was pleased with watching it like that. It was done well, but I guess it was from the same people who did. What was the other one? The creators of something else that I really liked.
Chernobyl,
There
I
you
think
go,
yeah.
Chernobyl.
That
Yes,
was a really good series
that
too.
was a really good series. Very well shot. Completely different style of show, but
Yeah, not so much comedy in that one.
yeah.
This
But
one
I
has
think
some decent stuff in it, yeah.
yeah, I think where that show was good was like just the attention to detail and like building characters out of a drama, which is pretty much what Last of Us is anyway. So
Mhm.
yeah, I had to warn my wife right ahead though. Like when that opening shot was like happening, she's like, "Oh, that's his daughter." I was like, "Don't get attached.
Yep,
Don't get attached." She lasted longer in the show than she did in the video game though,
that's true, yep. Got to
even though
see her
she was
whole day
almost
there.
old lady bait. But you know,
Yeah, that was creepy.
I mean, it's not the best. Yeah, I'm curious to see where it's gonna go. Is it? Have you heard anything on like how many episodes of The Last of Us they shot?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't imagine it's too many, right?
No, it seems like with those made for Max series, it's like you get like 8 or 9 episodes. And if you already
Yep.
started off with a 120-minute one, yeah,
Yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes, but
yeah, I'll keep watching it. I mean, I think it'll probably be good for me where I stopped because maybe when it starts going off the rails, like I won't have been invested in the game that far, so I won't be offended when they make choices that because at some
Yeah,
point somebody's going to turn on this thing, right? Either the critics or the gamers. Like you can't make everybody happy.
probably. Yeah.
Look at The Witcher. Like it only works so far.
Oh, yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
So, I picked up something from Walmart on a cheap deal.
Oh no,
After,
COVID.
after no, those are free. That's
Yes. Sorry.
um. They had a deal where these At Games Legends Mini. These are all confusing because it's not the Ultimate Legends Mini, which
Mini,
is the whole cabinet.
which is what I thought you were talking about at first.
Yeah, this is just the lap joystick thing, and not that one either. They were $46, normally 120, I think. That's the retail price. And you can't say no to that, especially after how you talked about all the pinball stuff was so good.
Yeah, like the interface is shockingly good for
Yeah,
what people used to think of at games.
yeah. And like the controller is very well built too, like
Yeah,
the buttons and everything.
better
There's
quality than you get with the arcade one-ups for sure.
oh yeah. And you can I mean there's like a USB, there's Bluetooth. There's even like the weird actual like standard like arcade out on this
Oh,
thing.
really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Like I don't know what you would use that for if you could actually just hook it up to an actual machine somehow. But that would be wild.
And did it come with that bring your own game stuff like pre-installed? That coin op
Yeah,
X or whatever?
yeah. So you have to put that on a thumb drive,
Okay.
and so I haven't done that yet, but I'll get to that. Mainly, I've just been checking out what the games that are on there, which
Because there was
they're
100.
I think around there. Yeah, it's
Okay.
pretty hit or miss. Like some of the stuff is like what? Okay, whatever. Um, but overall, I'm really happy about it, and I picked up two because I mean, for $100,
Right.
it's a pretty good deal. So we've been playing a lot of two-player stuff.
And did it sync up pretty easily? No real issues.
Yes. Yep. The only thing that I know there's got to be a way to do this, but I can't quite figure out how, is since they're only a single thing, both of them only have a player one button on it.
Okay.
So a lot of the arcade games that would have separate one player, two player buttons, that has trouble syncing up.
Okay. Because it's trying to
Like
fight over the same button, I suppose.
right. I can't figure out how you would make it to say I'm pressing the two player button instead of the one player button.
Sure.
Um, any other game where you start a game and then you just somebody else, it's like press start to hop in. All of that stuff works just fine.
Sure.
But yeah, overall, I'm pretty impressed.
Nice. I almost bought one, but I was gonna wait and see what your feedback was before I pulled the trigger because
I think they're still there, $46.
I might have to do it. I just got refunded for that Pie Packer Kickstarter that didn't meet, like, decided that they
Oh
could not
no,
meet the hardware. Which, one, it's amazing that they realized it and had money left over.
yeah,
Two, after they said my card wasn't working anymore, they like found a workaround to get it through my PayPal. So I was even more impressed. So I just figured that
huh,
was money gone. But
yeah,
yeah, well, that sounds cool because yeah, like we were talking, I know it would sync right up with my pinball table. So it'd be nice. I could even just put like a rubber mount on like the back side of it and just set it on top of the cocktail, piece and just play
yeah.
some of the arcade games that are in there because I don't know if you've looked at that like Arcade Net or like Arcade X or whatever, but there's like X amount of free games that they rotate through there a month to play, which you
Some
play them in the
SNK
cloud.
stuff.
Yeah, there's some good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This thing's weird too because you can buy pinball buttons for this thing
Right.
that they just like attach to the
Clip on
side
the
of it.
side. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like really weird, but I don't know if I would want to play that way because I don't know if that
Yeah.
really makes that much of a difference. But
I saw it too where they just launched a 4-player version of this that also drops right into the arcade at Games Legends Ultimate cabinet. So not only does it work as a standalone like 4-player family version, but you can just like fully hot swap it with the 2-player version of
geez,
that. So that one is significantly more money, like $300
yeah,
right now. I mean, not that it won't get cheap, but
yeah.
yeah.
I think those have trackballs and all that other shit on them too.
Yes.
So
Yep. Yeah, that's cool. I'm glad to hear you like it. And I mean, for $46, it's, you're not, like you said, you're not taking too much of a gamble knowing that this thing already syncs with every other console out there. So worst
right,
case, you just bought yourself like a decent-ish fight stick. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. It's great for that. I mean, you can hook it up to anything Bluetooth basically. It's crazy.
It's awesome. And then the puck itself is just run off of like USB C.
I believe so. You have to then HDMI to it, and then there's another USB port. That's where you can put the bring your own game stuff.
Yeah. And then is the controller then tethered to power or is it rechargeable battery?
It's rechargeable,
Really? Okay.
so you just plug that in. It was weird though. I think there's only one power plug for it.
So you
So
have to
you,
choose if you're charging your controller or playing.
yeah, pretty
Okay.
much. Or you just use a different, it's all USB anyway. But
Right.
yeah, I mean that's the other plus part is you buy two of them, you get two of the pucks. So I put, one on one TV, one on the other, so I could just have my
Yeah.
choice on which one to play it on. So
That's
that's cool.
sweet.
That's a nice addition, I think.
Yeah, I should almost get you that. Like, I should get you a copy. You've got that whole MAME build on my. Well, you've got pies and stuff too, I suppose. But I got that uh, hacked up or modified PlayStation Classic that's just got like 1,000 MAME ROMs on there. Be perfect.
Yep.
Because I think from what I've seen, people have said there's like very little modification you have to do on a lot of it. Like that Coin Op X or whatever just kind of really does a good job of making things run.
Yeah, you just put an image of that on there and it goes, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
check one out then. Maybe I'll go back in there and order one now.
Hmm.
And who knew we were gonna be at Games fanboys in 2023? Isn't that weird?
It is really weird.
They were just
I
like
mean,
selling the Genesis 4 at Walgreens for the last 30 years, and all of a sudden they're hot. Hot.
yeah. Somebody in there just said, "Hey, let's cater to, the people that have ROMs." You know?
Hmm.
They're like,
Instead of just
"Oh, yeah.
plastic that smells like it's gonna give everyone cancer for $30
Yep.
on clearance.
Yep." That it is crazy. I mean, like the bumper on the sides are all metal, you know,
Yeah,
just like a stick would be. It's good quality.
it's kind of shocking. Yeah, that was exactly my takeaway with that Ultimate Pinball too, which I've been playing more of. I've cooled down on a little bit, but still playing it every couple days. So,
Yep. Plus, I got my staff pick out of this, so we'll
oh,
talk about that later.
nice, nice. That is exciting. I saw your staff pick and I was like, I don't know what that is, but it's not a movie like I was thinking it was. Well, I have
No.
to, I think, take us down some familiar territory again, or at least the ongoing topic. Oh, so we're gonna talk Vampire Survivors, but I just wanted to throw out a nugget here for Andy. I don't know if how many people listen to this that used to know that we were a 3-person podcast for like I don't know 4 years with this other guy, and he texted me out of the blue and was like, "Have you ever played Vampire Survivors?" I was like, "You don't listen to the podcast, do you?" He's like, "No, it's been a while." I'm like, "At least 6 episodes, I'm guessing, because I don't know when we haven't talked about Vampire Survivors." Like, yeah, played it. So thanks, Biff. Dropped us like yesterday's trash.
Oh,
Um, anyway,
it's a lot of. I mean, think of all the Vampire Survivors you can play now too. So
Yes.
joke's on us.
So the reason I'm bringing this game, everyone's probably sick of Vampire Survivors. I know, whatever, I get it. I was listening to the Stone Age Gamer podcast because Chris had gotten turned on to that game too. I'd been tweeting about it, and he was saying how he wanted to play it. And anyway, and then Dan in the Stone Age Gamer podcast foolishly mentions that, hey, it's on mobile, and not only is it on mobile, but it's free. Which I knew it was
Oh
on
no!
mobile, but I assumed it cost something.
like
So
the $2 that cost would be the gateway anyway, right?
right. Well, because it's
Would
like,
be
well,
the stop
I
sign.
have it on Game Pass. I'm not going to do that. You know,
Yeah.
worst case, I suppose I could cloud log in, but whatever. So basically, you've taken like this already highly addictive game and you've put it in the palm of my hand, and if, like you get to a point with Vampire Survivors where like that just plays itself. Plus, they like did the genius deal of if you die and you want to respawn, all you have to do is watch an ad. You don't have to like get the power up, which you can also get in stack, by the way. So of course, if you die, you're watching the ad. Like absolutely, you're doing this. And then at the end of every level, if you want to get more gold, all you have to do is watch another ad. So this game's got me watching ads constantly. My phone it never has enough battery. I'm always at like 20% now. And I'm like super hooked again, more so than I was when I was getting into it on console because it's just always there. Like I'm gonna take a shit, play some Vampire Survivors. I gotta do some emails. Great. Let me knock the first 7 minutes out of the way on this thing, and I'm just gonna set my guy in the middle of the screen. I'll come back later. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's a problem. I've played so much Vampire Survivors since the last time we talked. Like way, way, way more than I thought I was ever gonna need to. I'm charging my phone 4 times a day.
Wow.
It works
That's
really good on mobile too. I
that
will
is so
say.
devious. The whole ad stuff. That's yeah. Of course you're gonna do that. Like
Yeah.
there's never been a game where you're not gonna do that.
Yeah, and they knew 100% they didn't have to charge anything for it because like it is the perfect game to willingly have participants watch ads.
Yep.
They're
Wow.
geniuses. I guarantee you
That's
mobile's going to make them more money than any other platform.
probably well. Yeah. I mean, they're only making what $3 on the other ones anyway. But
Yeah, I guess. Well,
in
who knows
Game
what
Pass
kind of deal
anyway.
they got from Game Pass, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm really hooked in that game. I just I still got some more stuff to unlock. I obviously have played a few characters. I've kind of liked too, like the hidden depth in some of the later levels where you can like go through mirrors and teleport, like find characters.
Yep.
I also like some of the later levels that have like structure in them because then you just like they're perfect choke points. Like, oh, of course I'm gonna wedge myself between these two buildings, and like that way I'm only fighting from two sides. Like, yeah, why wouldn't I do that?
Yep. Yep.
Oh, it's so good, so good.
I found the problem with it.
What?
I'm too good at it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, once you get to a certain point, there's not much you can do to fuck up, right?
So there's a couple. I wanted to get all of the achievements for it, like
Oh, you went hardcore. Okay.
all the different little collection stuff, because they unlock stuff every time you get one of those, right?
Right.
And there's each of the levels. There's an achievement for lasting 31 minutes
Right.
in it, and I did 2 of them. Now I'm trying to do the 2. I think I have 2 more. And I've tried it probably 5, 6 times now. And I end up killing death before 31 minutes.
Does that end the game when you kill death?
Yeah.
Okay, because I have made it to almost 32 minutes, but I cannot get anywhere near killing death.
Okay.
I think the secret to not killing death is hardcore leveling up that like freeze thing and then running away from him. Because if you have that freeze thing locked to like level 10, he's stuck for like what, 3 seconds. Then you can run away. And then hopefully you're not running with like the pentagram or anything. And
Yep. There's a so do you have the gold rings or the gold and silver rings?
I don't think so. Well, does that give you more projectiles?
No.
I don't think I have that yet.
Okay. And then there's like a meticulous left and right or something. I forget what it is.
Okay.
Anyway, once gonna have to look up how you get those things, because that's really where you really start beating. I mean, you can kill death almost immediately.
Okay.
It seems like, because what that does is it lets you evolve the clock lancet and the laurel.
Okay. And the
So
laurel is the
that
buff over you, right? So you don't take damage.
Yep.
Okay.
Basically, if you evolve that, like you can almost never get hit.
Okay.
And then the other thing is like it freezes them, and it also does this like wave that cuts everybody's HP in half every time it does it.
Okay.
So, like if you're doing like death, it's just you can't even. It's like me in real life, can't last a minute.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed with my one run against death. But obviously, yeah, I've got way more stuff to unlock. But like even without all that stuff, like I'm so overpowered because like I run garlic. I'm garlic, holy Bible. You gotta get the freezing lance because like if you need to get out in a pinch at end game, like that, and that's not even that necessary. But like right now, I basically like max out garlic. I max out the Bible. I evolve the daggers into like whatever wall of death that is, and then I'll max out. What I prefer to do is max out the birds. Like if you get the black bird and the white bird, and then it becomes like rainbow bird, like nothing
Oh,
touches
really?
you. Oh my god, it's
I've
like
done that a few times, but
oh, it's so good.
I just hate having the two birds. Like the rainbow bird's good,
Yeah,
but having the two
I
birds around
like it.
before.
You
Oh,
know, I like it because I feel like I'm playing Ikaruga, but from the bad guy. Like I'm playing it in reverse. You know, it's like the black and the white gives me the Ikaruga vibes.
yeah.
But usually, like between the knives, the Bible, well, the evolved knives, and then the evolved fire projectile, like by the time I'm like level 45, I basically set the phone down because
Yeah.
it just goes at that point, which is such a good feeling. And just having the sound of like just constant mutilation. So yeah, I I gotta. I mean, I've got some work to do yet. I uncovered that like level where you like warp up from one of the mini challenge ones, and you like have to run that gauntlet to whatever end of the screen, and I haven't been able to beat that yet.
Okay, that's right where you start unlocking that shit.
Okay, yeah. So I've got that I haven't beat. So I got two more things that are locked as far as stages, but I've beaten all the other challenges. Some of them are dumb. Like there's that one that was just like survive 30 minutes. It'll be any enemy from any. It was still a cakewalk. I mean,
Yep.
I don't know. I think the hardest part is just like engaging hyper mode and then not walking because my instinct is like I just want to run across the screen and grab everything. But when I'm in hyper mode, I have to like chill so I don't accidentally get myself hurt when I didn't need to.
Hmm.
Um,
Does the phone one have the new content?
maybe I don't know if
It's
you
like
can unlock it.
a snow map.
Not that I've
You
seen
walk.
yet.
Okay.
That's paid DLC though, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I haven't seen a way to purchase anything yet. But yeah, I probably played a good 2.5 hours that at work today. Don't tell anybody. I mean, by play, I mean it was running, and I was mostly not paying attention, but
Yep.
it's still going.
I'll probably have to get back into it and just maybe skip those, because that was where I got really burnt out, where you spend a half hour and then you don't accomplish the thing that you were trying to do
Which
just
sounds
because you're too
exactly,
good.
which sounds exactly like what we're going to be dealing with come this weekend when Monster Hunter Rise drops. So
Oh yeah.
if you want to talk
Exactly.
about wasting hours on a mission, we're going to feel that sting again. So can't wait. So
Yeah.
yeah, don't forget to install. You can pre-install it now.
I think I did.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got to do that yet, but I'm pretty excited. I read the updated review. That sounds like some nice visual enhancements for the good old Xbox.
That sounds pretty good. I made some visual enhancements of my own as well.
Oh,
Uh I have an old PC from 2013. It's probably 10 years old now.
mm-hmm.
And I've been ripping all of my Blu-rays to Plex, trying to get all those packed up and get them out of here basically.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, that's just way too slow on that thing. So, and then I found out that if you can get you can encode it with a video. Oh, I can upgrade it to this. Okay, do that. And then I'm like, oh, all it has is this hard drive. It'd be nice to have an SSD in here.
Mm-hmm.
So about like $170 later, feels like it's like a brand new PC. It's crazy.
Nice. So you got everything running off SSD then, like your operating
Yeah.
system and all of it.
Yep. It's like an SSD with like 32 gigs of RAM and a 1060, I think, which
Nice.
are really cheap now for some reason. Bitcoin must have crashed that whole market or something. I don't know.
Weird. So
But
now
yeah,
how
you can
fast
get those for like
can you
80
pull a
bucks.
file?
Oh man, it's crazy. Like that thing used to take probably 8 minutes to boot up. And now it's, a minute, if that.
Yeah. I was gonna say that was the one thing too when I bought this gaming PC that I'm recording on is like first computer I ever had with an SSD, but yeah, it's like holy shit. And then
Yep.
I mean you get the same thing with the new video game consoles too, but like you just don't expect that with the PC because we grew up in the age where getting off that Windows screen took 10 minutes sometimes. So
Yep.
it's crazy.
Yeah. And I can rip a Blu-ray like 9 times faster, and it's
So now are you going to like permanently store your physical Blu-rays or are you going to then sell them because you've got them all on Plex?
I don't know. Blu-rays don't really I don't know.
Hold
I don't
value?
think anybody's buying any of that shit anymore, right?
No, and Blu-ray never really took off the way it did. I mean, there's still like classics that never got a Blu-ray port, which is crazy.
Yeah. Unless you have like weird rare stuff, then of course you can sell that shit, but
Yeah.
the common stuff, like if it's a movie that made it to the theater, it's pretty much not gonna be worth anything.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty sweet. So now you're back in full swing of like ripping stuff all day long.
Yep, pretty much. And I'm getting close to the end, so I mean,
Nice.
it's crazy. Even like a DVD, you could do in like 2 minutes.
Do you how do you do it? Do you have it set just to pull like the main file and not the extras, or do you do the full disc?
No, I just do the main file.
Okay, yeah. I used to be like
Um,
really like back in the days and like that was like copying movies was like worth doing. I was like really particular about like no, I want the DVDs, I want the menus, I want the extras. And then one day I was just like, why? Like I don't watch half of these because I'll never get to them. So then I started doing just the main movie, and it's like, yeah, man, you save yourself so much time, and the file comes out so much better quality when, well, at least when I was trying to compress them to,
Yep.
aftermarket discs.
Yep. Yeah. The one weird part is like when you do audio tracks, they don't really label them really well. And so I think my wife was watching Avatar
And then you get the
the other day,
commentary over it.
and it wasn't even commentary, it was like a guy describing everything that was happening on the screen too.
For like
So
your
like it must have
visual
been some like
impair. Okay.
it must be some visually impaired thing. It's like, oh man, I wish they would just like
Yeah.
label them so you could be like, I don't want this one. And
I've had that happen though too. Like just straight copying main file and it comes with the dubbed over version. That sucks.
yep.
Well, that's cool though. Plex is so convenient. It's nice.
Yep. I don't so I'm thinking that I might be trying to maybe download some of these PlayStation games that I have missed since they're coming on PC now.
Like Horizon,
Maybe.
God of War.
Yep. Theoretically, I could play them on there. We'll see.
That's cool. Gives you some more options. I mean, plus you got all those like 5-cent Steam games. I'm sure they'll be really pushing your hardware.
I bought one called Milk Inside a Bag Inside a Bag Inside a Milk Bag or something like that.
Nice.
Can't wait to try.
You collect. I'm assuming you collect the Epic games every week too, right? So you get like stuff over there.
Yeah, some of them. I did get definitely got the Death Stranding, so
Yeah, I grabbed
I
that too.
should try that one.
I should that Actually, now that you mentioned that, I've been meaning to fire that up because that was like the big one during their Christmas thing, right? Like the 15
Yeah.
days or whatever. Yeah, that'd be worth doing. Push my PC a little bit too, which would be nice because I don't usually play anything that's like higher end on it. So,
Hmm.
well, that's cool.
Yep. So who knew that you could upgrade a PC for that long? Back in the day, like 10 years, that would have been impossible.
It probably helps that Windows at like this point is like so streamlined. Like, there's not a lot of junk on Windows 10. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, it's a pretty good OS as far as not taxing your systems. As long
Yep.
as it would stop asking me to upgrade to 11. That's the only thing I don't like about it. I don't wanna.
Yep. What else have we been doing? So we picked up Game Builder Garage
Okay.
for the Switch.
Yeah, which I
Uh,
had too, but I've yet to crack the seal on it.
yeah, you should have your kid try it. My kid has stated multiple times that when he grows up, he wants to be a video game maker,
Sure.
which I keep saying, do you ever want to see your family? Like,
How much do you
don't
like
do that.
math?
Uh, anyway, this is the game that Nintendo-fied game development, sort of.
Yeah, it
It's
seemed
like a
like
Little
their
Big Planet,
answer
kind of.
to Labo, but without the cardboard.
Yeah, yeah, it's some of that. I think it's the same people, right? I'm
I think
guessing
so.
it's
Yeah,
very much like the same interface, it looks like.
sure.
Um, but he's been going through like the tutorials because the tutorials are like really deep where they basically show you how to make the whole game. And the things that you can do in there are actually pretty impressive. It's not anywhere close to like what you could do in Dreams. Dreams is a whole other level
Sure.
of that, but yeah, it's like he made a escape room in one game, and
Without instruction, like you just figured out how to do it.
so there's instruction on how to do it, but you can kind of customize it as you go too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool. And then he shows me like the screen, the programming screen is just crazy. Like I can't even follow what's going on, but he was able to do it. And man, it's been his favorite thing, just playing that game.
Nice. So then you get to try all out his creations, and
Yep.
pretty good so far.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm interested to see once he gets to the tutorial games on, like what he builds from scratch.
Right.
But yeah, I for a kid who is into that type of thing, I think this is a really good thing for that. There's a
Yeah.
lot of, early programming stuff that's in like the iOS space. You see a lot, and like courses on like how to make your own Minecraft and Roblox shit, but I'd rather not have them get into that.
You can make money in Roblox. Yeah, it's kind of cool to see Nintendo do it of all companies, and like Nintendo-fy it, you know, in the way that they look at game design. So
Yeah,
I'd be
it's just
curious to
like,
see like what that looks like compared to. I'm sure it's night and day difference between like the amount of depth that you have in like the assets for dreams, but it's probably so smartly designed that it's much more approachable to most people.
yeah. I mean, they give character arcs to the programming components. Like,
So
I'm the
speaking
B
of
button. I'm Bob the B button. Press me. Blah 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 blah. It's like, oh my gosh.
speaking of dreams, is there like pre-built stuff in there that you can play from other people then too, or no? Is that not a thing?
Ooh, I didn't look at that. I'm knowing Nintendo, I would say no, but
Seems weird though. I mean, they already know how popular Mario Maker is.
yeah,
Like, kind of just bolt those two things together, and gotta watch out for digital penis games, though. I suppose, and
hmm
things like
plus
that.
Mario's already in Dreams. Why do you need to copy it?
There's so much Nintendo and Dreams. So much I wish I could forget.
I should pop in there again and see what's going on in Dreams.
Somebody was just mentioning something in Dreams, and like I was like, yeah, it's time to go back.
Yep.
It's always good for a laugh. I wonder what that. I bet that community now is just like so hardcore too. Just like a dozen or so like really active. Like I was amazed at how much the animation space had popped off like over the last year.
Oh
There were
yeah.
way more people making that kind of stuff in games even.
Yep.
It was cool.
Yeah, I think it's more. I think that the whole framework of that is very much more lean toward artistic stuff more than anything. But of course, you can make you know mostly anything in that game if you want to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's cool. I'll have to maybe. I was just rearranging my Switch games, so I have to pull Game Builder Garage out and
Mm-hmm.
at least give my kid a few minutes with it and see what he thinks. I actually picked up one. I think you mentioned how you guys get hooked on it a while back, but I put in Cruise and Blast finally.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah, that's a really good sit down for an hour and drain the battery out of your Switch sort of game.
Yep.
Like, it's just kind of like the only major complaint I have is that they always screw you on one course in like those series where it's like you have no idea that the track you're coming up on is like 53 seconds long. And you're like, well, I was like rationing my turbos. Like, I didn't expect it to be here already.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I guess I have to replay that one,
Yep.
jerks. Once you know, you're fine. But
Yeah, you end up they use a lot of the parts. They mix up the parts of the courses a lot.
yeah.
So you end up memorizing, oh, this is the part of the,
Mm-hmm.
but
I think the best one was just that giant one where there's like huge Yetis for some reason, like fighting each other in the background for no
yeah.
reason. But yeah, that game pretty much captures what I thought cruising played like when I was a kid. Because I don't know if
Hmm.
you've gone back and like revisited like the 64 versions and stuff, but those are pretty horrendous. So this
Hey,
is,
well, this new one doesn't have any women in bikinis, so
but it has that
that's
awful song, "Cruising Black." I hate that lady. She just doesn't stop singing it. It's
you.
awful. But
What are
yeah,
you gonna
that's
do? You can't just stop it. You want to just start over?
I want to just take the lyrics out of that. Doesn't need it in the theme song. We get it. It's a cruising game. Yeah, very good game though. Much
Yeah.
better than like I thought it was going to be. Like once I started going through it, I was like, okay, I'm pretty hooked. And then, like I said, I got an old Switch, so about an hour and a half later, it was out of battery. But
In
I'll
the
pick that
same
back up.
vein, we popped in the Hot Wheels game, the latest Hot Wheels game on Xbox.
Sure.
That's actually not too bad. You would think it would just be a horseshit licensed game, but it's pretty cool.
Do they use any like the like Forza stuff, or is it like completely separate?
It's completely separate, so
So
it's
it's not that engine at all or anything.
no, it's
Okay.
straight up it's straight up just like you're in a room, a kid's
Hot Wheels
room or
track.
something, and there's just Hot Wheels tracks, and they're all scaled to that size or whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, it plays pretty good. Races pretty good. The rubber banding's pretty good on it. It's got loot boxes in it, which is not great, but
Yeah. I mean, that's what are you gonna do, right?
yeah, I for the most part, it's just like story stuff unlocks coins, and then you spend the coins on it. It's the same as like the unlockables that we used to have. It's just much more like random. Like you could get a duplicate,
Yeah.
and then you sell it for more or whatever.
As
They
you
do go
do.
wild. They do go wild with like the DLC in there. There's like 6, 7 packs of DLC that are all licensed. I'm guessing they're like real. Like here's
Like
the
track
Batmobile,
packs. Okay.
and like here's the Bugs Bunny machine or whatever. Like they're probably real Hot Wheels that you can get. But
Interesting. That one came out
yeah,
like what, a year ago or so?
I think so. Something
Okay.
like that. I think it was $10 or something like that. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to find like a good simple pick up and play racing game like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Forzas and the Gran Turismos are all well and good, but something about just like a game that you can just turn on and shut your brain off and still have a good time.
That's true. I got another one like that. The same sale. I think we got them all from this GameStop sale where it was 4 for 20 or something like that.
Okay.
Or something like that. I don't remember. Anyway, Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy for Switch, all on
Is
the
that a
same
combo
cartridge.
cart?
It's a combo cart. Yep.
Okay.
And I feel ripped off about Wheel of Fortune. There's not even a Pat Sajak in there
What?
or a Vanna White. What are we? What is the
You
point?
future proofed it then.
How was there a separate licensing deal? How do you license Wheel of Fortune and Pat Sajak doesn't come with it?
Does seem wrong. Even the NES got a Vanna White edition.
Yeah. Like, do you just like ask them, hey, can you knock a few bucks off if we can just, use this Unity Store woman as the
They
letter
probably
turner?
figure that those guys are so ancient at this point that there's just no point in even putting them on. Because like, who's to say they're not going to just die before your next game gets published? So
That's true. Yeah.
here's a better
Then
question:
be a collector's item.
Does
Last
Wheel of
Pat
Fortune?
Sajak.
Yeah, does Wheel of Fortune continue once Pat Sajak dies? You think?
Ooh. Yeah, it has to. I hope it's like a robot.
That could be
I mean,
interesting.
I remember the days where Vanna actually had to do shit, right?
Yeah,
She
like
actually
she
had
had
to
to
go
walk
over
around
there
and, like
and
flip
turn the colors,
windows. Yeah.
flip the things. Yeah. Instead of even just pretending to walk up to something to touch a screen.
Well,
I even
and then for
remember,
a while she had to touch a physical button, but yeah, now she's clearly just gesturing at something, and somebody else
yep,
backstage is like pink.
yep. It used to be like after the letters, there was a time where they were all CRT screens, separate CRTs.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine how much that thing weighed if they were all separate little screens?
Like that show has gotten like so far off track. Like, cause remember when we were kids too, it was like the whole like mini QVC shop thing. Like you got your cash at the end, and you get to go to like the store and like buy stuff out. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's so not exciting. I mean, they've really
Yep.
taken like I like the good old trashy, like let's make a deal type shows. Like Wheel of Fortune was like kind of right on the cusp of that for a while, and now it's just
Yep.
kind of I don't know. Which I guess that's coming back. Let's make a deal.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
What about Jeopardy? How was that?
Yeah. No, Alex Trebek, of course.
Yeah.
There was
Makes sense.
actually there's no host. I suppose they didn't know at that point when they made this. Maybe I don't
Right.
know, but
Yeah,
it's
those games have to just like pretty much publish themselves, right? Like you put in a couple new puzzles every few years and like port it to some new platform, and here we go. Let's
yeah.
make $1 billion.
Here's the bullshit though, that it's multiple choice. So if
Really?
you ring in, you have a 1 in 3 shot of getting the right answer.
Huh.
And a lot of these, a lot of Jeopardy is like off the top of your head, you wouldn't know it. But if you ring it in and you see the 3 options, then you're like, oh yeah, that's the one, So half the time you're just like ringing in as fast as you can and being like, okay, I can just read these 3 and probably make an educated guess on it. And then there's times where it's like the first 2 people ring in and they got it wrong. And then you're still allowed to ring in and be like, I think it's this one.
It takes a little strategy out of it or intelligence out of it, I guess.
Yeah. So the thing I couldn't believe though with this thing, you would think a program, would recognize when a game starts. There's probably, I have no save file. This is my first game playing this game, Wheel of Fortune. My first 4 spins were all bankrupt. And I had another bankrupt later on in that same game. At some point, you're like, could you imagine buying that game? Like buying that game for $50, coming back and be like, ooh, bankrupt. Sorry, you lose. Ooh, bankrupt. And it's like, you're a computer program. You can decide to not do that to me, but you've chosen
Instead,
violence
you're
on
gonna
this.
pile it on. Yeah, that's bullshit. Yeah, that's not an enjoyable
Was it,
first impression.
no, that was terrible.
It's gotta learn the Fortnite hook. You gotta let people win enough, and they'll come back for the
Yep.
punishment.
Yep, exactly. But
I saw an interesting thing, and I'm only thinking of that because, like, when I think Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune, I just think old people. But I caught an article where somebody online had posted pictures of they found their grandmother's video game collection, and it consisted of like 16 Game Boy Advances and like 36 copies of um, Wario Land 4 and like another dozen copies of Mario Pinball. And the best
yeah.
they can figure is just that the grandmother didn't understand how to delete save files. So that eventually, when they wanted to replay from the beginning, they just bought another
A
game.
new one.
Yeah,
Oh
and like,
man.
and they really liked Wario Land 4 and Mario Pinball, I guess, is what they're thinking. So,
Oh, or she was investing.
yeah. Yeah. I just thought that was an interesting choice, the Wario Land. Kind of funny, though.
That's funny. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
What else we got for topics? Are we on to staff picks?
I think so.
I'll go first because I've had less topics this time. But since we're talking about HBO Max, I started watching that Doom Patrol,
Mm-hmm.
which I watched a few episodes of that, and I was like, "This is just Umbrella Academy meets Supernatural." And then they brought in Crowley, and I was like, "This is exactly Umbrella Academy meets Supernatural." And I don't like it as much as either of those shows, but it's pretty damn entertaining. Like, it's got a big budget for a show that I really don't hear anybody talking about. I don't know if this thing's that popular or not, or it was. I know I'm a
Yeah,
few years late, but
I we watched the first 2 seasons, I think. We haven't caught up on the 3rd one. I think they're
I
making
think there's
another one.
4. Yeah,
Yeah, which is kind of surprising because yeah, it's doesn't seem like it would be that popular in the first place. Like, how would you explain this
right.
to somebody? But if you give it a chance, it's definitely a good show.
Yeah, it gets a little wild. I think its biggest weakness is just the story is so bonkers. And then also the worst actor is Cyborg, and Cyborg has a lot of screen time. I
Yeah,
liked how we watched like 8 episodes too. My wife's like, he kind of looks like the guy from Teen Titans. I mean, I'm like, yeah, you mean Cyborg from Teen Titans? It's the same character.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't like
It is
him.
it is weird though that like 2 of the characters don't even really have a face and can't really do any gestures, you know?
Yeah. Yet they still have like better character arcs
Yeah.
than Cyborg. I think that I'm not even gonna remember her name, but the one with the 36 personalities, like she was in Orange is the New Black too. Like her character is just so good that it kind of steals the whole show. It's
Mm-hmm.
like you can virtually she's perfect because you can write any episode you want because she can fit it. You know what I mean? I've seen like what five of her superhero abilities out of like the 36 so far. There's so many more. Yeah, so for anyone who hasn't seen Doom Patrol, it's basically DC's like Justice League, but of just like misfits, I guess. That I don't know. They're all raised or reared by like a mad scientist, and then yeah, they're not even really superheroes, just mostly bumbling idiots with superpowers who
Yeah. They just live in a mansion for some reason.
yeah, and they don't even know if they're doing good or bad. They're just like trying like because once you learn that their father figure is basically like I don't know if he's good anymore either, but you know. So they're just doing stuff that affects a lot of people, and it's pretty entertaining. The only thing I don't get, and I know they kind of explain it because like the guy's a mad scientist or whatever is like, I just don't understand why none of them age at all. Like that's the one weird part to me. Like I guess it kind of you can shoehorn it into the story, but they don't really talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
that's
like
true.
everybody's
I mean,
80 for the most part, except Cyborg,
Cyborg, yeah.
which he's a
That's true.
cyborg.
Yeah. The other one, so yeah. I guess the one lady is basically she's kind of not really human though, right? She's mush or something. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Well, but she was human. She was like, what do you figure, 30 or 25 when she became the mutant? And that was like back in the 50s.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's like an 80-year-old lady. The fighter pilot guy's the same age. Brendan Fraser's character is probably, what, he'd be like 50-ish. He's a
He's just a
robot.
robot,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah. It's weird.
The directions that show goes is just they just don't give a shit about anything. Like there's
No.
even some of the storylines, they're just like, no, we're done with this, and they just throw it in the garbage in the
Yeah.
most like satisfying way sometimes.
Well, and I like how they like chose like to just completely go off the rails with like the second episode too, and it's just like, or the first episode where the like donkey just farts out a message on screen. And like, how many people didn't come back after that? Like, probably a lot, right?
Yeah. Yeah, don't they go inside of the donkey or something
Yeah, the
like that?
donkey like
Yeah.
vomits people out, and you're like, all right, weird. Yeah, it's a cool show. Like I said, I don't. I know what it's kind of trying to ape on, and like I said, I don't like it better than any of those other things, but I think it's a good popcorn movie style, like because it feels more like a movie at times than a TV show, but it's a good filler show.
Yeah.
I'll probably forget about it after we get through it, but it was way wilder than I was expecting, and a hell of a lot better too. So I like it.
Yeah.
I just like that there's no expectation because like you're in the universe, but for the most part, there's no ties to like any real characters. So I mean,
Yeah, well
Cyborg
that's
being the most notable one, right?
right, that's the thing. Like you'd be doing a disservice saying that this is like a superhero related anything because it really isn't. It could
Right.
these guys could be anything and it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it's more like psychopaths with some special powers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's my pick. How about what's your staff pick?
My pick is a game that was on the At Games mini stick thing that I got. That's a Data East game called Boogie Wings.
Okay.
And I don't know if we've played this before or if I've played this somewhere. It seems familiar. At the same time, it's one of those things that, like something like GameSat gets so in depth on some things that you just feel like you know
Is it
the
burned
game
into your
then.
head? Right.
Right. But this is a side-scrolling shooter where you are a stunt plane pilot who has a chain with a hook on the bottom,
Yes.
and you're basically carrying around a bomb at first, and you can twirl the bomb around using physics, just going in a circle. To think this bomb on a chain keeps whipping around, and then you can drop the bomb. It's wild. There's so much stuff happening on the screen at all times. So many graphics. I understand why it never got like a home release because I think it would probably be impossible.
Yeah, I've seen bits and pieces of this. I don't know that I've actually played it either, but I think you're right. I think this might have been something I watched a YouTube video on or something at some point. But I do recall like the whole swinging aspect, and it's pretty wild for a shooter.
Yeah, it's incredible. The levels themselves are wild themselves. There's a Coney Island one where a Ferris wheel just goes off the rails and it just terrorizes everybody. There's a Detroit level where you're basically flying through all these car factories, shooting everything. There's a Christmas level. There's a museum level where you're just destroying everything in the museum. But my favorite is the transporter level. And it starts out like a lot of shooters where it's a gigantic airship and you end up going all the way around it. shooting different things off of it. It's just a giant ship.
Mhm.
You go all the way around it, and then you finally blast a hole in one of the sides. Your character jumps out of the plane, and you are running around on the inside of the ship,
Really?
and it's all compartmentalized like it's like almost like a Castlevania map in there. And you get to a point where you meet the main bad guy, and he leaves the pilot, or he leaves the cockpit, and you chase after him, and the plane starts going down, and you're stuck in this one room with all this cargo, and the cargo starts lifting off. So it's all basically just like zero gravity cargo just everywhere, and people are trying to shoot you. You're shooting these boxes open, and there's like elephants inside, and you get on the elephant, and you're just charging at these guys, and there's a tank in there. You start shooting guys. That's I should say that's one of the main mechanics of this game is if you get shot twice, then you lose your ship.
Okay.
Then you become a little guy on the ground running around. And there's like probably 25 different things that they just put on the ground in like Metal Slug style, where it's like, get in this thing. And some of them are like a tank, and some of them are just like dumb, like here's a weird horse, and here's an elephant, and here's just really crazy stuff. It's nuts. It's as if Growl, one of our favorites, which is
Classic.
it's also on that At Games Mini.
Nice.
It's as if Growl was a shooter, and
Huh.
that's like the perfect game for me.
Oh, I'm gonna have to play this now. That sounds too good not to. It's
Yeah.
from Data East of all companies.
Yeah. I can't get over how much stuff that they had going on this. This is one of the most detailed and wild shooters I've seen.
This never got a port to anything as far as you can tell?
Nope, I don't think so.
Lost in Arcade. Okay. I'm going to check that one on Boogie Wings, you said.
Yep.
Okay.
I don't know if that was on the arcade net, or if that was just on the included games. I'm guessing probably the included games, but
yeah,
because Data East sounds like the type of games that would be on that.
Right. They're the cheapest to license.
Yep.
Cool. I'm gonna have to check that one out. Good pick. I mean, screenshots look bonkers. I can't imagine seeing it running. So.
Yep.
Well, I suppose we should dive into the weekend rental.
Do we have to?
We don't, but we do. So, weekend rental segment of the show for anyone who's not familiar. Pick a game for a given system. We'll give it a playthrough and determine whether we would buy, rent, or burn said game at the end of it. Kind of really going on a limb this time on everyone knows my favorite console, the Nintendo 64. Yep, that's right. Hell did freeze over, and we are playing Nintendo 64. And the game we picked was Yoshi's Story. And
how could you possibly burn a game that cute, right? I think that's why we picked this game. It was like a game that we couldn't possibly be negative about. It's a Yoshi game.
And then you play it. So, first of all, I am not a big fan of Yoshi's Island, and this game seems to pick up right on that like art style, and everybody loved Yoshi's Island. Well, I didn't. And then they hype everything up to like the super annoying factor by about 50. And then you're basically playing this bizarre 2D platforming game on the N64 with no real other games that look like this. I mean, I guess you could argue maybe Paper Mario, but that's not even accurate.
Yeah.
So you get this mashup of visuals that just look like they don't belong on the console. And then you get like weird elements of like pseudo 3D stuff thrown in that clearly leverage the 64's like polygon abilities.
Maybe so like what we're looking at right behind me.
Right.
Is that pre-rendered or is that I can't
I
tell
think
if that's
that's
like the Donkey Kong
pre-rendered.
Country shit.
But I was thinking like that big dragon that you fly on, like that one level, like his
Yeah.
head is like crazy. But yeah, I don't know. It, this game is offensive to all my senses. Like it just looks like vomit. The sound is grating. And the controls are just awful. Like Yoshi
Mhm.
is floaty. All the Yoshi's games are floaty. This is maddeningly slippery and floaty and shitty.
Just like jumps of speed randomly. It seems like it's
It seems like it's geared for really small kids, and then you get to like the second level, and they make some really bad level choices
Mhm.
that like would frustrate 5-year-olds.
You're talking about the cloud one where you're do
Yes,
all those snakes that you're riding.
I almost Hulk smashed my Switch.
Yep.
It wasn't worth it to me.
No.
This game, if you don't explore, are a competent gamer, you will get through in about an hour and 45 minutes. And it was not worth my hour and 45 minutes to do that. I hated the vast majority of the time I spent with this thing.
Yeah. It's
Like, actively was offended by it.
there's some pretty bad stuff in here. I'll hmm.
How about the main collection piece and how that is like just bumbled in the worst UI choice ever?
Oh, the how you beat the level, in fact, is collecting. I don't even know how many fruits it is.
Too fucking many.
30 maybe, something like
Probably.
that.
Right.
Something like 30 fruits. You have to collect 30 fruits no matter what, no matter where you are, no matter what you did in the level. As long as you got the 30 fruits, you beat the level.
Which
And
is jarring.
yeah.
I thought the game broke. I was like, why did it just end the level?
Yeah. There's like ones where there's like, here's a check, check mark or checkpoint and all this. You can completely miss all that shit if you just get the 30 things. And probably the worst thing about this game, to me, I think, is they could just have 30 fruits counter right up on top, say, or countdown. Hey, you need 30 fruits. This is how many you need left. Just one counter number at the top. Instead, they make a frame outside the perimeter of the whole screen of all these little dots, 30 dots that you need to fill in with the fruit. And by the time you're getting toward the end of the level, half your shit in the screen is it's just sprites of random fruit that you picked up. Serves no purpose at all.
Other
Gets
than
in the
to
way.
impair your vision and lead to unnecessary like deaths and missing of actual fruit you need to collect because it was obscured behind things that you collected like 5 minutes back in the level.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
a counter. What a novel
that's all I needed.
idea. Or a
That's all I
percentage
needed.
thing.
Yep.
Even if they'd have put it in a pause menu, even if you knew you had to get so many and the only way you could see it was to pause, that
Yep.
still would have been a less baffling design choice than what they went with here. It's shockingly bad. For Nintendo, too.
It's no crying baby Mario, but
Well, okay, that's true. Yeah. I guess
they
in
made one
comparison.
improvement. But yeah, the art style on top of that, it's like so crazy because every level that you do, it's so different.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of the pseudo 3D stuff, which doesn't look great. Yoshi doesn't look good. He is definitely just a straight up Donkey Kong Country sprite. And the egg system is not great. But yeah, overall the controls are just the worst. And the snake part, should we talk about that? That's definitely the hardest thing in this whole game.
I don't want to.
There's
We
these
have to.
dumb snakes that you jump on their back.
Sky snakes.
Yep. And every time you jump, it changes direction by 90 degrees. And you would think, oh, that's not too bad. except you need to jump to get higher up because it's a scrolling snake. So when you jump, then it changes directions again, and all of a sudden, some of these times you're like stuck in the corner, and there's no way to correct it.
Yeah, and you're confined to a 16 by 9. Well, not quite even, I guess, because it was a CRT. So
Yeah.
almost like an expanded 4 by 3 ratio. And it's got to be 6 to 7 screen links up that you have to menu, which if Yoshi didn't control like a dog's ass, this would be no problem. But you cannot reliably climb and jump that much vertically with these pivoting snake things when anything Yoshi touches, he basically like slides off like it's made of pure fucking ice.
Yep.
I cannot tell you how many times I fell back down on this.
Yeah. And was the snake there right where you could get back on? Nope.
No
snake there. So you got to go farther down before it ever respawns.
What I started doing, because I'd get so pissed, was I would just cheese it, and I'd go back to that first snake, and you can get to a point where you can cheese him and go up vertically across the level and skip 2 other ones. It doesn't make it any more fun. It's still 100% bullshit, but it cuts out like at least the first leg of it.
Yeah. That was an awful design. And then, toward the end of it, then they're like, oh yeah, you need to grab these fruits while you're at it too.
Right.
Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I've never been more upset. I think the fact that that's the 3rd stage of 6 stages, can I just point that out? 6 stages to beat. I think there are actual other levels within some of the areas, but if you're good,
think those are the checkpoints.
Those are the checkpoints?
I think so.
Holy shit. So there's even less here than I was giving it credit for.
Yep.
Wow. So yeah. Like so stupid. This is like the third, like I said, this is the 3rd stage. So how many kids just gave up at that?
Yeah.
I would have. It's not fun. It's not good level design. In fact, it points out most of what's wrong with the game. And it doesn't look good. Like the snake worm things look weird. They're like pseudo 3D on top of like weird backgrounds. And then does it throw you? Is it right into the water level from there?
I think it's the jungle, which that one I was okay with the jungle. That one was kind of fun. That's more of an explorer. The water one sucked.
Yeah, because they've got those chasing enemies. Like they can go anywhere in like super constrained, like dead end areas of the game that you have to go to get the fruit if you want to get the hell out of there. It's just maddening. And nobody likes underwater world stuff anyway. Like they just made it super fucking annoying. And what do you get? You get 2 boss battles out of this whole thing. You get one guy who says he's too big and fluffy to be licked.
And then you lick him down to nothing.
The secret is you lick him up. So, and then you fight Bowser Jr., who looks, again, really weird with the art style. And then it's probably one of the easiest boss battles. It's like 3 hits and it's over.
I didn't make it.
You didn't beat it?
This is one of the few games so far that I have not went all the way through. I'll tell you why. This is the biggest problem I have with this game is this whole game is all about you need 30 fruits. Explore the level until you find 30 fruits. And it does a very shitty job of communicating. This pit is going to kill you.
Yes.
And this pit has fruit down here.
Right.
And when you die, there goes one of your Yoshis. You have like 7 Yoshis, and then it's game over.
Right.
I died I wasted all my Yoshis thinking that, oh, there's going to be something down there. There's got to be something down there. Yeah. Nope, you're dead.
I got to a point where I just like after the first couple, I was like, every hole will kill me. This is how I avoid having to restart this game.
I got to that point too, but then the water one.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Where then the water is like, oh, this looks like a hole, but there's fruit down there. You got to swim down in every crevice. So I got right back into that mode again, and then the next level, or I think the I got to the last level and then ended up dying in
Yeah,
a
the
pit
last
there.
level is the worst for that. I think I jumped in like 4 holes in the last level where it was just like gone, gone, gone. It's like fuck you, game.
Yep.
And like the whole thing is like this happy story about how the Yoshis traversed and survived and overcame. It's like, yeah, what about RIP for like the 7 of you I offed on the way here? Like,
Yep.
congratulations. We saved like the tree, but there's only 2 of us left.
The dark blue one, yay!
Yeah.
And the noises, the music on here, I'm I'm
Oh,
okay with most of Yoshi music. Some
no,
of
this
it's
is
grating. I like some of it, but what they do is if you get lower on your health, they slow down the music, so it sounds just absolutely terrible.
and then these songs with the cutscenes. It's like if you
Where
took the Loco Roco soundtrack, but made it infinitely more annoying and infinitely shittier. Like
a
Loco
chorus of
Roco
toads.
soundtracks make no sense, and I love them and I hum along to them. These just sound like fucking. It's like grating your ears with a cheese grater. It's
Yeah.
awful, and you can't skip it. It scrolls at its own speed.
No, you have to imagine the people like I can't even picture doing that on a job and being like, this is the this is the noise I'm going to even make, and then put it into a video game.
Could you
Like, it's
imagine when this released, forking over probably, I presume, $50 at a minimum for
yeah,
this?
at least.
This is like a downloadable demo
Hmm.
of a game concept that, like, this is Nintendo WiiWare on a good day. Like the fact that this got put on a cartridge is mind-boggling.
Yeah,
I mean, and there's some,
2 hour game.
yeah, there's
It's
some elements there. Like you see, like the stitch work, the storytelling. Like you see where Woolly World and the new stuff, like where the foundation is. But this is not even like this is a proof of concept and not even a good one. Like I think had there been like I think had the 64 been any more prominent, like I don't think this would have made the cut. Like this wouldn't have gotten pushed out. There just wasn't much coming out on the 64 at the time that this game came out. I don't know why Nintendo published it. It's just so half-assed.
yep, it's wild. Uh, What is the next Yoshi one after this?
Is it Woolly World?
It might be.
Let's look.
I think they made a 3DS one. I don't remember if that was first or not.
Oh, there was. That was like a pseudo sequel direct. That was the direct, like it was a direct sequel to Yoshi's Island, right? It was all
Hmm.
original. Yoshi
Oh yeah, there's
games.
Yoshi's Island DS.
Right, which was like a new one, right?
Yeah, but yeah, a console one. I think it was Woolly World.
And Crafted World just came out. I like Google. I type in Yoshi games, and the first thing it comes up with is perky little things. Like, no, it's not. It's not it. Yeah, it had to be. Had to be Yoshi's Island DS is the next like main, not like reboot or port. It says there was a Yoshi on Wii U, but that's not true, or it didn't come out. Woolly World. Oh, Woolly World was on Wii U.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so they buried that thing for a long time after this. Is
Yeah.
basically what we're saying because it didn't even touch on the Wii, which the Wii was their powerhouse. So yeah, what I guess it would have come out during that era on the 3DS. And there was probably some lesser known stuff that wasn't main story on the 2DS. I'm guessing Game Boy
Hmm.
Advance had the tilt and tumble. Yeah, this is an awful game on an awful system.
It you would I hoped it's not a 3D game. It might
You
be
thought you were
good.
going to convert me into liking the 64? Is that what you were?
I
Those your
thought that
motives?
this was maybe going to be a decent game because it's not early 3D garbage.
All right, well then, buy, rent, or
Nope.
burn. Where are you putting this thing,
Oh,
Andy?
it's a burn. It's even even if this was a perfect game, 2 hours on after Mario 64 comes out, and this is a 2-hour game, like, fuck it. That's unforgivable.
Yeah, I'm going with Burn also. I get the concept of a cutesy platformer. I've never been a big fan of the Yoshi's Island style. I have, however, learned to appreciate things like Crafted World and Woolly World for what they are. But this game doesn't even do that right. Like I said, it is just offensive to every sense. Audibly, visually, control wise, it just sucks so badly. Like I just Burn isn't even a fitting end to this thing. It's just
Yeah.
awful.
It's probably the worst Nintendo game that we've played, I think,
Yeah,
on here. Like, actually Nintendo developed
Nintendo.
or first
Yes,
party stuff.
I would agree. I and you clearly understand why nobody talks about this, right? When they talk about people who are passionate about the 64, I've never heard anyone be like, "Hey, Yoshi's Story was pretty neat, huh?"
It's because
Because
they played it for a day and then they can't remember it.
played it for an hour and 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Speed run this bitch. Oh god, yeah. Avoid this thing at all costs. It's trash. On a trash console for trash
Mhm.
people. The trash expansion pass.
Dr.
Well,
Mario 64 is very bad too.
it can't be anywhere near as egregious as
It's
this.
no, but it's in the same vein of like, what? I can't believe this was a cartridge that they put out.
Well, I think we should wrap this episode.
Yeah, let's do it. Uh, if you would like to contact us, maybe tell us your war stories of a Yoshi game on the 64. If you've played this game, we'd like to know what you thought. Maybe we're wrong. Definitely not.
Nope, we aren't. In fact, don't write us and tell us how we're
Yeah,
wrong
you can't.
because
You will not convince us. I
we will
don't think.
track you down and dox you, and it's gonna get ugly.
Uh, it's got Shy Guys on stilts. No.
Don't do it.
Anyway, you can contact us at weekendrentalpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter, Weekend Rental Podcast. And yeah, until next time, be kind, rewind. Go check out our new movie podcast, Patreon,
It's a
Geekade
good one.
Patreon.